Welcome everyone to this series Improving Customer Lifetime Value with Machine Learning. Now, this is a four-part series that will discuss all the phases of the customer journey and the ways, or at least some of the ways, that machine learning can help during each phase. For today's agenda, we're going to have a brief introduction about who we are and what we do. Then we'll talk about the various phases of the customer journey and how machine learning can support each of these phases. And finally, we'll talk about the loyalty and advocacy phase, which is today's topic. Now that we have convinced our customers to stick around for a little longer, we'll see how we can make their shopping experience so unique that they will want to stay with us for the long haul, and possibly even become champions of our products. I am Francesco Sguanci, and I lead the data science team here at Dunn Solutions. Dunn Solutions is a digital commerce and business transformation consultancy. We are headquartered in Chicago, and we have been in business since 1989. We also have operations in Minneapolis and Bangalore, India. Our business model is to deliver velocity to our clients, and you may remember back from Physics 101 that velocity is a combination of direction and speed. We provide direction through our analytics services and speed to market by helping clients automate their business process. And we truly are a one-stop shop because in addition to providing analytics and marketing automation solutions, we also help clients integrate them in their digital platform of choice. And from there, the cycle starts all over again. In fact, we even have a name for this cycle. We refer to this process as the virtuous cycle of customer engagement, and we help with all the stages. In our previous webinars, we discussed the pre-purchase stage of the customer journey when the customer is still giving consideration to our products and services, but he or she is still not generating money for our company. And then we also discussed the first two phases of the post-purchase stage where the customer is actually generating money for our company. We also defined the concept of value. A customer is as valuable as the amount of profits that they are expected to generate in their lifetime. Now, this value is calculated through the customer lifetime formula, which in its basic form is just profits from new customers, so profits from newly acquired customers, plus an increase in profits from our existing customers, minus the profits lost to customer churn, minus the marketing spend. Now, in the previous two webinars, we have discussed how machine learning can increase the customer lifetime value by helping with the acquisition phase and the retention phase. So today we'll be talking about the loyalty and advocacy phases, and these are really closely related, right? Now, one misconception about these two phases is that they are all about increasing the average spend of our existing customers. I mean, that makes sense. After all, the increase in spend by our current retained customers is one of the components of the CLV formula. So if you want to increase profits, you're going to have to increase the basket size. The problem is that reckless cross-selling or upselling as a means of only getting as much revenue as possible from our customers can and will backfire, and usually it results in a loss of trust and eventually churn, because you can see that people can churn at any point, of the customer journey. Instead, growth in product use should really be value-based. In other words, the adoption of additional products should create some kind of value for our clients as well. Now, machine learning can help you do just that. And specifically, it is a perfect way or a perfect tool to develop sophisticated recommendation engines that can truly enhance your online or offline experience. And that's what I'll be talking about in our case study, how we helped an online grocery store increase its customers' basket size and obviously generate more profit. If you watched part 2 and 3 of this webinar series, you will remember this customer. Now, once again, I keep the customer's name confidential, so we'll refer to this customer as Jake's Groceries. But remember, the case study is an actual case study and the data is real data. This client came to us when they experienced a 5% drop in customer lifetime value. Now they wanted to know why, and they also, most importantly, they wanted to know what are we going to do about it. So just a little bit of background. Jake's is an online grocery store that operates mainly in New York, but they also have other operations in the Northeast. Now, Jake's new customers acquisition rate had been flat over the last 3 years, while the number of customers churning, so leaving, had increased to an extent. And when they came to us, the current customer lifetime value was $2,225, which was a 4.8% decrease from the previous year. So the first thing we did was to look at their operations holistically, right? They, as I mentioned in the previous slide, their acquisition rate was 1.61%, and it remained relatively flat over a 3-year period, which means that they acquired roughly 7,200 new customers over a 3-year period. Now, the churn rate, however, was much higher, what was an average 4.75%, which means that over a 3-year period, they lost roughly 13,000 customers. So obviously, as the customer base dropped, the customer lifetime value also dropped. We also took a look at the number of repeat purchases and the customer basket size. What we found is that the number of repeat orders dropped from 488,000 to 460,000 over a 3-year period, which is a drop of 5.7%. And the average basket size, so the average spend per order, also went from 186 to roughly 183, which is a drop of 1.5%. What this means is that people were not buying, the loyal customers, right, were not buying as often, and when they did buy, they didn't spend as much. So what could be a win-win approach to creating value for both Jake's, but also for Jake's customers, right? We developed a recommendation engine that created useful and personalized recommendations that created value for the customers by improving their online experience. Now, at the same time, they also increased their basket size, and that's how we achieved more profit through cross-selling. Now, the technique that we used at that time is called market basket analysis. Now, this is more like an algorithm, and you might have heard of this, or of collaborative filtering, or other algorithms. Now, the difference between all these techniques is beyond the scope of this webinar. However, all I wanted to mention is that for this specific use case, market basket analysis was the way to go. So what is this methodology that we used? Well, market basket analysis is an algorithm or a methodology that uses historical transactions to determine which items are frequently purchased together, and then to extract what we call a set of rules, which is the criteria upon which we recommend certain items. So basically, the question that it answers is how much more likely is item Y to be purchased together with item X when item X is purchased. And that's what we refer to as a rule. Now, this technique measures the strength of the association among certain products and the usefulness of those patterns. It's also great because it does a really good job of separating noise from real patterns. Now, this set of rules or recommendations fall into 3 categories: actionable, trivial, and irrelevant. We are only interested interested in the ones that contain the golden nuggets, and those are the actionable one. And you might remember, legend has it that a few years ago, Walmart commissioned a study, a similar study, to find out what items were frequently bought together. And they discovered through data mining that sales of diapers and beer were correlated on a Friday night. So I guess the young fathers would make a late night run to the store to pick up Pampers, and some of them got Bud Light, and here it is, a correlation that you would not think it existed otherwise was revealed or was found through data mining. So how many rules did we extract, and what is the interpretation of a rule, right? So we extracted over 3,500 rules, and now not all of them were actionable, but the way that basically you interpret them, you look at the rule, in this case, yogurt and frozen berries and waffles. When people buy these three items together, the chance of whipped cream also being bought is 10 times higher than when these items are bought separately. So basically, why wouldn't you recommend whipped cream if you could see that a customer had yogurt, frozen berries, and waffles in their cart? And this is really the whole criteria, or the whole logic behind recommendation engines. So, and that's exactly what we did for Jake's. We created a real-time recommendation engine that looked into the online cart, then looked at all the rules that we had generated, that were generated on the fly, and returned the item most related to what was being purchased. So, and that was the recommendation. So for this specific client, first priority was given to related items which had a high lift, so a high probability of being purchased with whatever was already in the cart, but they were also on sale. That's an extra layer of value for the customer. Not only are you recommending something that is of use, right? So you're creating value that way, but you're also telling the customers that particular item is on sale. They can save 20% on that item, and when they might not be aware of that. At the end of the year, we checked how we did. We reran all the descriptive analytics, and we saw that the order size, the average order size, increased from the 183 that we had seen in year 3 to 188.38, which is a 2.2% higher than the entire 3-year period. And the results on the customer lifetime value, because profit from existing customers are part of the customer lifetime equation, and the average spend per order increased, obviously the 3-year CLTV increased as well, and it went from 2,225 to 2,387 from the previous year, which is an increase of 7.3%. Now, to be completely honest, that 7.3% is not all due to the recommendation engine. It's also due to the attrition and acquisition models that we discussed in webinar 2 and 3. So what are the lessons learned in this webinar? Machine learning, provided that it's well implemented, can help you increase profits while still adding some value for your customers, who in return could become advocates for your business. I would love to discuss how you're currently using analytics in your organization. Maybe we can discover if there is a need or there is a way that we can help you grow your customer base and increase profit. So I would be happy to talk to you and to create a comprehensive strategy based on whatever business problem you're trying to solve. So do not hesitate to contact me at info@dunnsolutions.com, and hopefully you found all this information useful, you enjoyed this webinar series, and you will join me for the next topic.